Have you ever really stopped to wonder who actually decides the price of, say, your morning coffee or your internet bill? It can feel kind of random, right? But it's not. There's this hidden rule book, a set of forces that governs the price of pretty much everything we buy. So let's dive in and pull back the curtain on who really sets the price.
I mean, just think about this for a second. A farmer who grows wheat, they pretty much have to take whatever price the market is offering that day. But your phone company, they just tell you the price, and that's it. This isn't some weird coincidence. It's the exact question we're going to unpack, and it all boils down to one really powerful idea.
And that big idea is called market structure. It's really just a term for how much competition exists in a market, and it is everything. It dictates how many sellers there are, what the product is like, and this is the most important part, who actually gets to hold the pricing gun.
The easiest way to wrap your head around this is to picture a spectrum of power. On one far end, you've got markets where a single seller has absolutely no control over the price, zero. And on the other extreme end, you have one seller with total, complete control. We're going to take a little journey across this entire spectrum.
So let's start at the beginning, at that zero control end of our spectrum. This is a place that economists call perfect competition. It's kind of theoretical, but it's the baseline we use to measure all the other market types against.
Now, the conditions for this to happen are, well, pretty extreme. You need tons of different companies, all selling a product that is completely identical. Think about wheat. One farmer's bushel is pretty much the same as the next. But look at that third row, price control. It says none, and that right there is the key.
This is what it means to be a price taker. Picture yourself as that one wheat farmer. You are just a single drop in a massive global ocean of wheat. You can't just decide to charge more, right? Because a buyer would just move on to the next farmer. You have to take the going market price, or you sell nothing.
Okay, so that's a world with zero power. But what happens when we jump all the way to the other end of our spectrum? We go from no power to a world where a single player holds all the cards. Welcome to the world of the monopoly.
And wow, this just lays out the difference so clearly. We go from many firms down to just one. From being a price taker to a price maker. From anyone being able to join the market to these huge barriers that block out any competition. And the result? That perfectly competitive farmer is just making enough to get by. But a monopoly, it can rake in what we call supernormal profits. Basically, way more money than the bare minimum they need to operate.
So where does all this power come from? Well, you got a single seller with a unique product that has no good alternatives, and critically, it's nearly impossible for anyone else to enter the market. This kind of power might come from a patent on a new medicine, or maybe they control all of a key resource, something like that.
And this is the main takeaway here. A monopolist isn't a drop in the ocean, they are the ocean. As a price maker, they can look at the entire demand of the market and strategically pick the one price that's going to make them the most profit. They have all the power.
Okay, so we've seen the two extremes, right? A world with no power and a world with all of it. But let's be honest, most of the markets we deal with every single day, for our coffee, our cars, our clothes, they all live somewhere in that messy middle.
You know, the journey of coffee is a perfect example of how these things all get mixed together. It starts with thousands of individual farmers, basically in a state of perfect competition. They're all price takers. But by the time that coffee bean gets to your cup, it's passed to the hands of a few gigantic global brands. And those guys have serious market power. They're the price makers.
So one of these in-between markets is called monopolistic competition. Now, I know, that sounds like a total contradiction, but it actually describes most of the places you shop. Think about all the Italian restaurants in your city. There are a lot of them, right? That's the competition part. But each one is a little different. The vibe, the secret family recipe, the service, that little bit of uniqueness is their tiny monopoly, and it gives them just a little bit of control over their prices. And then you've got oligopoly. This is when a market is dominated by just a handful of huge companies. Think about cell phone providers or car manufacturers. The poker game analogy is perfect because it gets at the most important idea here. Every move is strategic. Each company is constantly watching what its rivals are doing. If one of them lowers prices, you can bet the others are going to react, and fast. It's this constant game of chess, of move and counter-move.
Okay, so now we understand the different playing fields. But how do the companies that actually have the power, the monopolies, the oligopolies, how do they actually decide what price to charge? Turns out there's a golden rule they all play by.
I mean, the goal for any of these companies is to maximize profit. That's no surprise. But how do they know exactly how much to produce to hit that perfect sweet spot? It's not just a guessing game. There's actually a precise formula for it.
And here it is.
MR equals MC. Marginal revenue equals marginal cost. In plain English, a company keeps asking itself this question. If I make just one more of these things, how much more money will I bring in and how much more will it cost me to make? And as long as the revenue is more than the cost, they keep making them. The second it costs more to make that next one than they'll get for it, they stop. That is the profit-maximizing sweet spot.
All right, so that MR equals MC rule tells a company how much to produce, but firms with real market power have another incredible trick up their sleeve to pump up those profits. They get to unlock this really sophisticated tool, the ability to charge different people different prices for the exact same product.
Economists like to break this down into 3 degrees, or you could call them flavors. First degree is like the holy grail for a company, charging every single customer the absolute maximum they're willing to pay. Second degree is all about quantity, bulk discounts. But the one you see literally every day is third degree.
And this is it, right here, in action. The movie theater knows students generally have less cash to spend, so they create a special group, students, and give them a discount. Airlines know that business travelers often book last minute and will pay almost anything, while vacationers plan ahead to find a deal. It's all about slicing the market into groups and charging each one what they can bear.
So we've traveled all the way across the spectrum, from powerless farmers to all-powerful monopolists. The big thing to remember is that these aren't just ideas in a textbook. They have a direct impact on your wallet and the prices you pay every single day.
This slide is a perfect summary of our whole journey. Just look at the pattern. As you go down the rows, the number of firms gets smaller and smaller, while the price power just goes up and up. We go from the wheat farmer with 0 power, to your favorite local restaurant with some power, to your cell phone company with significant power, all the way to a drug company with a patent that has total control. You can now place almost any business you can think of somewhere on this spectrum.
So the next time you see a student discount, or you wonder why your plane ticket costs twice as much as the person's next to you, you'll know. You get the hidden rulebook now. The real question is, now that you know the rules of the game, how differently are you going to look at the price of everything?